Taylor Farms has issued several recalls in recent weeks, including a recall of products made with jalapenos over a possible salmonella risk. That's left some people wondering whether it's safe to eat at restaurants like Taco Bell and Chipotle, and who is responsible if someone does get sick. 9 News legal expert Whitney Traylor joins us this morning to explain who could be held liable and what customers should know. Thanks for coming in.
Sure, everybody wants to know where the money is.
I know, show me the money. If I get sick, who do I go after? So if I get sick from contaminated food served at a restaurant, can I sue the restaurant even if the restaurant didn't cause the contamination?
Yes, you can sue the restaurant, and that's an issue with litigation, is you don't always know who the defendant is, and that's what makes these issues tricky, because is it the farmer that grew it? Is it the processing plant? Is it the restaurant? Because all of them can have liability. The restaurant could have been completely fine, but they maintained it at an improper temperature. So there's all these different issues. So a lot of times if you sue the restaurant and the restaurant thinks, hey, it wasn't us, they'll bring that other party in. So that's when it gets to be complex civil litigation.
Okay, now there's more than one recall stemming from Taylor Farms. Talk about the various recalls and the lawsuits that have also been filed.
Right, so there's at least two recalls that we know about. The Taco Bell recall, which is the iceberg lettuce, and then there was another one, that was related to Chipotle and I think Qdoba, where it wasn't grown on Taylor Farms, but somehow they may have been involved. So those are the two recalls, but a recall is a voluntary corporate act. It's not a legal admission. It doesn't have anything to do with liability. It's just an act. So those are the two, but then there's been at least 4 lawsuits. So one of them has been a class action against Taylor and Taco Bell, and then there have been individual lawsuits. So I suspect there may be more, because when people start having more severe damages, you'll probably see more litigation.
So does that mean Chipotle or another restaurant would automatically be liable if a contaminated Taylor Farms ingredient ended up in its food?
You would think so, but not necessarily, because the restaurant may have an agreement or a contractual relationship with the supplier that says, hey, if something goes wrong with this lettuce, the supplier is ultimately going to be liable. And really, it does still boil down to how did it get contaminated? And it seems like, from what I've read, I don't know if this is a foregone conclusion, that it's mostly stemming from Taylor Farms, and it's not necessarily the way the restaurant is maintaining the product.
So if a restaurant gets sued by a customer, can the restaurant then turn around and sue the supplier?
Yes, they can do that. And a lot of times they won't have to, because usually a plaintiff is going to sue all the potential defendants.
I see.
So you can't just be frivolous and just name everybody under the sun. But if you've done some research and you say, okay, here's the supply chain, I think it may have been one of these parties, I'm going to sue them all. And then they fight it out and they say, no, it was these people, and they start pointing at each other.
Of course, so everyone points the fingers, right?
Exactly, that's right. Yeah.
So what should someone do right now if they did buy a recalled product or if they ate at one of these affected restaurants?
Well, if they ate at a restaurant and didn't have any symptoms, they probably don't have any damages. Now, if they bought some product and it was deemed to be recalled, then maybe they can get the money from that. So certainly keep your receipts, any type of paper trail that you can. If you had any kind of symptoms, maintain those, and then you can pursue it. And it seems like they're not, the companies are not pushing back on people when they're reaching out. So at a minimum, it seems like they'll at least reimburse you, the cost of what you spent. So,
man.
Yeah. But the issue, some of these symptoms have been really, really quite bad. There's been a couple of deaths. So this is not just, a 24-hour stomach flu.
Right.
For some people it is, and that will relate to what people can actually recover in terms of damages, because it's, okay, did they do something wrong? Yes. But how much did you suffer?
Right.
Did you miss work? Was it just a stomach ache?
Right. And there's been long hospital stays, which we know can really add up too. So we'll see what comes from all of that.
Yep.
Whitney, thank you. Appreciate it. We'll be right back.